Chris, you've been pretty quiet for the most part. What have you been up to this week?
Well, I will say that I have not done a lot of gaming this week. I'm still, 2 weeks later, I'm still on the rebuild of my work computer, and there's a lot of issues going on there with missing registries and stuff that isn't installing that didn't have a problem installing before, and I'm having to redo things over and over and over again. These are really big programs when I think my orchestral kit comes with 40 DVDs, to give you an idea. You don't want to keep doing that over and over. Of course, that's not exactly what happened there, but just to give an example of how bad it can get.
Wow.
So that's been the majority of the focus. However, I've actually been watching some Buck Rogers.
What?
Oh boy.
Yes. Talk about some old school. I barely even remember those.
I don't remember them at all.
I was old school when I was a kid, and I know I'm older than you guys, so...
Yeah.
But I'm amazed of how high budget those shows were. Not only from the actors that they got on them, but even the special effects and stuff. They're going to a different planet just about every time. So all these costumes, all these sets, even though it's probably the same set, just redesigned every single time. But they put a lot of work into this. But
just to watch it from this point of view, your age.
Because even the humor in it's really decent. There's some good jokes in there, and this is coming from the 80s when everything was so freakishly campy. I mean, it wasn't quite as bad as the early 90s with the TGIF sitcoms and stuff, but it was still pretty campy stuff back in the day, so it was smartly written, it had some decent plots and storylines. I don't know, it's been a surprise. I'm enjoying myself. Lots of Detective Conan still, too.
I watched that show all the time, but I lost track of what season I was on, and then I stopped watching it, and it's like...
It's easy to do.
Yeah, there's so much of it.
Because, Dana was talking to me about it the other night. She was saying that how little really changes with that series, that you can almost jump in at any point and things haven't changed a whole lot. I have noticed there's a lot more story to it than I would have thought, but the overall conundrum, anyway, the overall issue with the show about this teenager being shrunk down into a child and he's having to use other people to help solve the crimes because he's a genius child detective now.
And he's a barbarian.
Yeah. But this shadow syndicate that turned him into this, he's been hunting this whole time. 140 episodes later, he has never really run into those guys. He ran into the organization on a couple of occasions, but up until this latest season when they add a new major character, they really never make any progress. Of course, this new major character changes everything, but Sherry for those who know the show. But even then, most of the episodes at this point is still the old formula. Murder follows him around all over the place. I guess Tokyo is every bit as dangerous as that place in Maine where Murder, She Wrote takes place. It's just every week there's a new murder.
Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah. There's some towns you want to avoid, I think. And they even make that joke a couple of times in the series. Is everywhere this detective goes, people die. He's bad luck.
Dead people.
It's funny because I'm rewatching Doctor Who.
Oh.
Yeah, just because something. And then I actually decided to watch the new RoboCop, and that was interesting. And then it caused me to have to go watch the old RoboCop, which...
Oops. That was probably a mistake.
The first one was like, okay, this is cool, and then the second and third one just made me laugh my ass off.
No. They kind of
jump
sharks.
One was...
Yeah. When they were all jumping out of the one building at the beginning of the third one, I was just laughing. It's like they're all jumping out of the building. I didn't remember that as a kid, so RoboCop's flying and shit. Deep Roman.
Yeah. So anything that happened this week that you want to focus on, Grover?
Mostly still writing, but the gaming's starting to come back. I went from my crazy writing spurt where I was writing 80 pages in a couple of weeks, and now it's down to about 5 pages a day now. And right now I'm actually playing Starbound right now. I really need to change my Steam review for it. I gave it a 1-star and said that it was a piece of crap because of the lag, but I found a way around the lag, so I feel that I'm obligated to change my score now. Mm-hmm. But I'm still not happy about how the developer resolved the solution, about basically how he reacted to people saying that they didn't like something, or, it was laggy.
Yeah, I haven't kept up with the stories on it myself, but a lot of people in the guild were playing it at one time, and they were talking about it. Then the developer had done what he did, and nobody talks about it anymore.
Yeah, it was very unprofessional how he did it. I mean, you don't release something on Steam and then bitch at people because Steam's having a problem, and then say it's not my fault, figure it out yourselves. I mean, you can. I mean, I did, but what if you can't? I know people that can't figure it out. I have a couple family members that they like to play games, and they play them on a computer, but they know nothing about computers.
Yeah, the average user probably. I don't know though. Steam is full of modders and things like that. So I imagine he probably was directing that at the mod community and his own
He directed it at the graphic card company, NVIDIA.
Oh, that's
the one
right.
That the lag come from. He literally said that it's not my fault that the graphic cards changed and that NVIDIA should fix it, not him.
Yeah, he was blaming NVIDIA because they decided to update their software, which anyone will know is a very, very common practice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I use an AMD card now, but NVIDIA was updating their software, once every week, if not every
They still
2
do it
weeks.
every month.
Yeah, it's a pretty frequent thing.
And
It's not a bad thing. I mean, they're just they're just tailoring it for new games coming out.
It rarely goes against a particular game, does it?
No, not very often. I never had any problems.
Most of the compatibility issues I've ever heard of had more to do with Windows than it did a graphics card
Right.
update,
Yeah,
that
the
is.
problem I see that if NVIDIA literally has to say that's not our fault, I don't know, maybe it wasn't completely his fault, but just the way he reacted.
I still haven't been able to get Hyperdimension to work, speaking of glitches.
What?
Yeah, I know that they had made a post saying that they patched the game and that all of the fixes, the major problems people were having should be fixed. I'm still crashing during cinematics, and when I don't crash during a cinematic, I crash at a random point further on down the game. I've not managed to run it for longer than about 10 minutes at a time.
I need to get my fix back and remind myself how I did it so I can help you through that. Maybe. May not be the same problem.
I put all of the DLL files in the folder for the game, and that fixed the instant crashing and the refusing to load up. That fixed that, but now it just crashes randomly. Within within 10 minutes. I've never had it run longer than 10.
That's really damn rough.
Yeah, so
Yes, especially
I
for
was
an
looking
RPG.
forward to playing the game because it seems just really goofy and ridiculous, but I can't get it to run, so...
It's a grindy chore. I knew it was going to be, but it is a grindy chore. Them Japanese like their grindy games.
Yeah.
And it
like
wouldn't
grindy games.
bother me so much, but they reuse the same maps for other zones later on. And that feels so lazy for a game that was basically a report off of a... I don't exactly understand what's different, but this is not Hyperdimension Neptunia 1. This
Yes, it
is
is.
Rebirth, which is a variant. It's like a Star Trek reboot. I thought it was the same game. It is not the same game. This is
It's
the
a
one
remake.
that came out for PSP with a rebooted storyline. And they'll
Yeah,
even
it's-
reference the original as a completely different universe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it kind of threw me for a loop. This is not the way the original game goes because I've seen the anime. And then at the same time, it is how the original game goes. It's a loop-the-loop.
I've been wanting to play this. You know, every time I see it, I would think about picking it up, and now here it is on sale. I'm going to go ahead and get it. Can't run the damn thing.
All in good time.
Yeah, I bet it would run on my NVIDIA card. Oh, Lord.
Well, then there are three things I do want to get into. And one of them is YouTube is adding a 60 frames per second live streaming functionality. They're going to start directly competing with Twitch, which is weird because didn't that go through? Didn't they buy Twitch?
I thought they had?
I thought they had too, so I'm
So Google
scratching
is
my head.
competing with itself?
It sounds like it.
That's not bizarre at all.
Google didn't buy Twitch, Amazon did. Google was going to buy Twitch,
Mhm.
and then they backed out, and Amazon swooped in.
That's right, I
I
remember
kept
now.
up with all that stuff, but it's been so long ago, and I've kept up so little with it since. I just...
Yeah. Well, in July, Google was like, yeah, we're going to buy Twitch, and then something happened. I don't know what it is. Amazon came in, like, the very next month.
So that makes
all
more
the news
sense.
stories, yeah, all the news stories were like, oh, Amazon's buying Twitch now. And then Amazon was like, yo, Twitch, you're doing cool. Why don't you just do what you keep doing?
And this sounds scarier than it actually is, but the Wii U Basic set is now going to be discontinued in Japan come June. That sounds like the Wii U is failing, but what this is really about is that is the 8 gig system, and because the downloadable digital games are such a big deal with any system right now, they've kind of realized that this system is not really selling anymore, that it's too small to be worth much. So the premium set is still going to be around. That's the one with the 32 gig hard drive. So
And,
this is not the end of the Wii U.
Just as a warning to any of you still looking to buy a Wii U, even the 32 gig deluxe set is too small if you're going to be doing any kind of online game buying, because a lot of these games have ridiculously large save files once the game gets patched and everything. I mean, I'm at almost a gig on Smash Brothers, and I'm over a gig on Hyrule Warriors, and that's just two of the many games that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So
DLC
do yourself a
20.
favor, grab an external drive. You'll probably need, if your external drive is not powered by an AC adapter, you will probably need to also buy a USB-Y cable. So just bear that in mind.
And on the same story up here in the top, we were just talking about this. Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 2 is set to release on May 29th.
Won't be buying it.
Until you finish the first one and get it to even work. Yeah.
If I can get the first one to work and play through it, then I'll talk about getting the second one.
That'd be a miracle.
And then the other story is kind of a reverse of what we're used to, but there's a reason for it too. Rockstar seems to be getting sued by everybody that can come along, whether it's lawyers trying to ban the game or that rapper who was claiming that they used his songs without his permission. You've got Lindsay Lohan that was complaining that one of the characters in it was based off of her. So there's a lot of lawsuits that's gone on with Grand Theft Auto 5 for a long time. Well, guess what? Rockstar is suing BBC. And the reason for this is the BBC is making a movie starring Daniel Radcliffe about the whole thing that happened between Sam Houser and Jack Thompson back in the day, when Jack Thompson was basically blaming companies like Rockstar for the fall of society and all that type of stuff, making people violent. So Rockstar said that because they're taking the game and the logos and everything and making it actually part of the movie, they're suing to make sure they have say in how the trademarks and the name is being represented, that it's not going to be misrepresented in their movie. In other words, slander piece type stuff, which I half expect it to be because it's the BBC making it. BBC and MSNBC right now are probably anybody that has ever made fun of Fox needs to turn on those two channels and tell me what have happened to them. You cannot get any more left without turning into NASCAR.
Oh, wow. There we go. Yeah, they have, all of them have done it. I can't watch any of them actually anymore.
No matter how unbiased you try to be, there's always going to be some sort of slant. But the majority of the time, it's like they pretend they don't have one. And people made fun of that for Fox for a long time, but then Fox embraced it and says, okay, we know where they're conservative, we accept it now. But now they make fun of that, while the left side is doing whatever the heck they want and getting away with it. Which is exactly why Hillary Clinton may be our next president, is because they're getting away with it.
She better not be.
And this is not saying that I'm necessarily even a Republican. I think I'm more, I don't know if I'm an independent or libertarian or what, but...
Independent.
I'm a communist.
Oh my god.
I'm going straight to jail after the cast.
Yeah.
I don't think they do that anymore. We have too many Nazis and communists in our schools teaching our kids, but that's okay, because they're only racist to white people. Wait, what?
Wow, we're going to have our channel banned.
But yeah, that was kind of interesting to see them flip the table. They're suing somebody else. I gotta remember that back in the day too, when Sega was suing everybody left and right, and then somebody sued them.
Going crazy about it.
Yeah, it seemed like every time I get a new EGM in the mail back in the mid-90s, there was always a new lawsuit.
I didn't get into EGM until 2000 something.
I was a Street Fighter 2 guy, and the first magazine I pretty much picked up that wasn't a Nintendo Power was an EGM that was on Street Fighter 2, showing all the moves and stuff.
When Nintendo Power stopped, I didn't do another gaming magazine.
I actually cut them long before then. I cut them off at about 1993 or something like that, which is ironic because that's about the time that Mike got into it. So when he moved and he needed to get rid of all those old Nintendo Powers, now I pretty much have almost every single Nintendo Power magazine because I have the early part, he has the latter part. It's still sitting over there in a bookcase.
So you got them all put together.
Yep. I think there's a few missing in between here and there, but for the most part, it's all there.
Did the spine still make pictures? I couldn't remember.
Some of them.
I always liked that about Nintendo Power.
That was kind of interesting. I have no idea why they did it, especially since some of them quit and they started a different picture before they finished the first one. I didn't understand what that was about. I thought I was missing some magazines in there, but no, they just started on another picture randomly. They're a pretty good bunch of people.
Yeah.
Just don't call the hotline anymore. I understand it's a porn place.
Yes, it is.
Is it really?
It is a very kinky porn thing, too.
Oh my god.
I
bet that was done on purpose.
When I saw the Angry Video Games Nerd thing, I called it up immediately, and it sure as hell is a porn site.
Wow.
I was very tempted to get onto the site and tell one of the operators, can you act like Zelda for me? Just be something really bizarre, but I was just like, nah, I got better things to do.
Especially
ask me to find your Triforce.
Just turn it into, yeah.
Would you like to see my Master Sword?
This is us going more random than normal, going utterly random and crazy.
That's what made the Game Grumps popular. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
It's going off the rails.
I think it'll be better, honestly, in the long run. I really do.
Some people are like, you guys are very disorganized, and just like, yeah, basically how I live.
Well, for the round table, that's what it's about. It's a chat. It's discussion. Debate. But that'll trigger me. Oh.
Yeah, I went
there.
there.
Snowflake. Now remember, everybody, we cannot applaud at the end of the show or we'll trigger Grover. We have to do the racist jazz hands instead. Classy. Yeah, these.
Oh no! Oh god, thank God.
He almost died.
I almost fell into the bottom of the planet.
Thankfully, he's talking about a video game. Yeah. Otherwise, that would have sounded painful.
Bottom of the planet would be really painful.
It's a long drop.
So, anybody have any closing thoughts, remarks, statements, so Chris doesn't have to edit for 3 hours?
For the most part, I think we're done here, and I know it's a little different sort of show, but I think this is just better all around. We feel like we're talking more.
If you want to know what we think of something, just ask in the comments. We'll see it. I always see it. I check check it every day.
To reiterate, I honestly don't read the comments of the videos, so if you want to know what I'm thinking in a comment, ask one of them to tell me. I have a question for Mike. Oh, well, you'll need to ask Chris so he can ask me.
Yeah, that whole hate mail address he gave you, that one was fake. He never got that account.
It totally is. I don't know that I ever made it. What was it? Do you still have it written down?
I have no idea.
Oh, so if you send an angry email and it actually went somewhere, apologize to that guy.
And somebody else reading it like, what?
That was a long time ago, though. They'll have to search our archives really good.
Yeah.
So follow us at Twitter. I always say at Twitter. I do not know why I do that. Follow us on Twitter at PrinnyCast, and you can contact us with email at PrinnyCast@gmail.com, which is our current home for hate mail. And as for that, happy Memorial Weekend, even though this may be a little late in loading. We'll see you all next time.
See you next time.
See you next time.